Most people think the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was just another secret society from Victorian England, a strange club of robes and candlelit rituals that vanished into history. But that is exactly where the misunderstanding begins. The Golden Dawn was not important because it stayed hidden. It was important because, even after its original temples fractured, its ideas escaped into the modern world and shaped what millions now imagine occultism to be. If you have ever seen tarot used as a map of spiritual transformation, heard of ceremonial magic, encountered the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, or noticed how modern esoteric groups blend Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, and ancient gods into a single system, then you have already stepped into a world the Golden Dawn helped organize. And the real mystery is this: how did an order founded in 1888 become one of the main engines of modern Western esotericism? To understand that, we have to go back long. Before London in the late 19th century, the Golden Dawn did not appear out of nowhere. During the Renaissance, European thinkers rediscovered Hermetic texts and imagined that ancient wisdom from Egypt, Greece, Judaism, and Christianity might reflect a single hidden truth. The Rosicrucian manifestos of 1614 to 1616 added the dream of a secret brotherhood guarding spiritual science. Freemasonry, especially after the founding of the Grand Lodge of London in 1717, gave the modern West a ritual framework of initiation, symbolism, and guarded knowledge. By the 19th century, Europe was alive with spiritualism, Egyptomania, Christian mysticism, the occult revival, and a fascination with correspondences between the human soul and the cosmos. The pieces were already on the table. The genius of the Golden Dawn was not that it invented them, but that it assembled them into a disciplined initiatory system. The formal founders were William Wynne, Westcott, Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers, and William Robert Woodman. In 1887, a London temple called Isis Urania was established, and in 1888, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn took shape. Its origin story, though, has always carried a veil of ambiguity. According to the traditional narrative, Westcott obtained mysterious cipher manuscripts containing outlines of rituals and grades, then contacted a German adept named Anna Sprengel, whose approval supposedly authorized the new order. But historians such as Ellis Howe and R.A. Gilbert have shown that the documentary foundation is far less certain than early members claimed. To me, that tension is part of what makes the Golden Dawn so revealing. In occult history, legitimacy is rarely just paperwork. It is also symbolic continuity, ritual force, and whether a system actually transforms the people who enter it. And transform people it did. The Golden Dawn was built as a graded path of inner development. Its outer order led initiates through symbolic stages tied to the Kabbalistic tree of life, the elements, planets, zodiac, Hebrew letters, alchemical ideas, and ritual drama. A newcomer began as a neophyte, then moved through grades meant to reorder perception itself. The system was not simply about learning occult facts. It was about training attention. Symbols were arranged so the initiate would internalize a map linking body, mind, soul, nature, and the cosmos. The tarot was not just a fortune-telling device. It became a symbolic encyclopedia. Astrology was not just prediction. It became a language of pattern. Ritual was not empty theater. It was a technology of consciousness. This is why the Golden Dawn still matters to serious practitioners. An initiated magician did not merely memorize correspondences. They purified the ritual space, performed banishing rites, invoked divine names, visualized symbols, consecrated tools, kept a magical diary, and tested experience against repetition. In practical terms, that meant developing focus, emotional regulation, symbolic literacy, and what many practitioners would call spiritual alignment. Even today, experienced students of ceremonial magic use Golden Dawn-derived practices not because they want fantasy, but because structured ritual can sharpen intention and reveal patterns in the psyche. I think this is one of the most misunderstood parts of the tradition. For many of its serious students, magic was never just about controlling the world. It was about becoming less fragmented within it. At the philosophical level, the Golden Dawn reflects what later writers would call the perennial philosophy, the idea that beneath many traditions there runs a common current of sacred truth. The order drew on Hermeticism, Neoplatonism, Rosicrucianism, Christian mysticism, alchemy, and Kabbalah, especially the Hermetic reinterpretation of Kabbalah that had developed in the West over centuries. Its worldview assumed that the human being is a microcosm of the macrocosm, that visible and invisible realities mirror one another, and that disciplined initiation can restore a lost harmony between the individual soul and the greater order of being. That does not mean the Golden Dawn simply blended religions carelessly. It read traditions symbolically, searching for structural echoes. That synthesis also explains its relationship to pagan traditions. The Golden Dawn was not pagan in the simple sense, and it was not a reconstruction of any ancient religion. But it drew heavily from Egypt, Greece, and the ancient Mediterranean, while also remaining shaped by Jewish and Christian esotericism, Rosicrucian ideals, and Masonic-style ritual structure. So when modern viewers see Egyptian god forms, elemental quarters, divine names, or ritual tools, they sometimes assume they are looking at a direct survival of ancient pagan worship. Usually, they are looking instead at a modern esoteric synthesis that reinterpreted ancient material through a Hermetic lens. That distinction matters. And yet, the Golden Dawn still became one of the major bridges through which parts of the ancient pagan imagination entered modern ritual life. Its use of elemental ritual space, consecrated tools, invocations, and cosmic correspondences would indirectly influence later currents, including parts of modern witchcraft and neo-pagan practice. Then came the fracture that so often appears when lofty systems meet human ambition. By the late 1890s, and especially around 1900, internal tensions exploded. Leadership disputes gathered around Mathers, whose authority was both charismatic and controversial. Questions arose over secret chiefs, ritual legitimacy, personal conduct, and the right to advance certain members. Aleister Crowley became one flashpoint, but not the only cause of the crisis. Figures like W.B. Yeats, Florence Farr, and A.E. Waite were all entangled in a period of conflict that exposed a hard truth. Even an order built to teach balance and illumination could still be torn by ego, rivalry, and contested power. The original Golden Dawn fragmented, giving rise to successor bodies such as Stella Matutina and Alpha et Omega. And that multiplication is the reason its story did not end. Crowley absorbed Golden Dawn methods and transformed them inside Thelema, reshaping ritual magic for the 20th century. A.E. Waite carried parts of its symbolism into his own esoteric revisions and into the wider tarot tradition. Dion Fortune inherited the current and translated aspects of it into a language linking occult training with psychology and inner development. Then Israel Regardie, especially beginning in 1937, published key Golden Dawn materials and opened what had once been restricted to initiates. That was a decisive moment. A secret order became, in part, a public curriculum. From then on, the Golden Dawn became the grammar of modern ceremonial magic. This is why so many later traditions, even when they disagree with the Golden Dawn, still move through patterns it helped standardize. Tarot decks, magical correspondences, pentagram and hexagram rituals, pathworking, graded initiation, the linking of planets, elements, Hebrew letters, and states of consciousness. All of this became far more coherent in modern occult culture because the Golden Dawn organized it. Even where people reject its assumptions, they are often reacting to a framework it helped build. Secret societies and initiatory groups tend to understand this in a way outsiders often do not. In those worlds, secrecy is not always about elitism or concealment for its own sake. Often it is about timing. A symbol explained too early can become dead information. A symbol entered through ritual, repetition, and lived experience can become transformative. That is why initiates keep diaries, revisit the same forms, and return again and again to practices that seem simple from the outside. A banishing ritual can look like a performance until it becomes a daily act of psychic ordering. A diagram of the tree of life can look decorative until it becomes a map for self-observation. If that idea resonates with you, comment key below. Because for many people, the esoteric path begins when symbols stop being decorations and start becoming instruments. Of course, modern scholarship has not left the Golden Dawn untouched. Some lineage claims are disputed. Some historical constructions were selective. Some uses of ancient cultures reflect 19th-century Romanticism more than strict recovery. All of that should be said plainly. But none of it erases the importance of the order. The Golden Dawn matters not because every myth told about it is literally true, but because it created one of the most sophisticated systems ever devised for organizing Western esoteric practice. It gave structure to a scattered inheritance. It built a bridge between Renaissance occult philosophy and modern ritual work. And in a strange way, its greatest secret was not a hidden word or a concealed manuscript. It was method. So when we return to the question from the beginning, the answer becomes clearer. The Golden Dawn became so influential because it took fragments from many centuries, arranged them into a living initiatory machine, and passed that machine into the bloodstream of modern esotericism. It stood at the crossroads of Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism, Kabbalah, ritual magic, symbolic, pagan imagery, and the initiatory logic of secret societies, then turned those currents into a system people could actually practice. For me, that is why the order still fascinates people who know nothing about occultism and people who have studied it for decades. It is not just a chapter in esoteric history, it is one of the main reasons that history still feels alive. And now I want to hear your view. Was the Golden Dawn a genuine initiatory current, a brilliant symbolic synthesis, or somehow both? Let me know in the comments. And if you want another esoteric order explained next, leave its name below, because once you understand the Golden Dawn, you start seeing its shadow almost everywhere.